Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds, and today we're going to help get those creative juices flowing.
We got 10 more unique deck ideas for you right now.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily Commander content. Happy birthday to everyone on the entire planet whose birthday falls on today. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do it, along with supporting birthdays, is patreon.com in the description.
Yes, that's the best way to support us directly. Two indirect ways to support us are, first, tcgplayer.com. Go there, buy the Magic cards you were going to buy anyway, because guess what? You're a Magic player. Of course you were going to buy Magic cards. And you started with the link, so you are now supporting the nerds. Same is true for Dragon Shield's best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
Literally the best sleeves you can get anywhere. And if you use our link, you're going to be supporting nerds.
It's just a free roll. It's just a free roll. Speaking of free rolls, if you're thinking, man, I don't know what deck to build. I got no ideas. Nothing sounds fun. We got 10 off the wall, like totally weirdo decks. We're going to get the ball rolling on them, show you what the idea is, and then if you have some interest that's sparked, you can go buy some cards or build a deck yourself.
Yeah. These deck ideas aren't perfect. They're not like some of them will work really well. Some of them are just off the wall.
They're pretty jank.
The whole idea is to get some ideas in your head like, oh, you can do that and this and that, and then you can build your own deck off of that. But this first one is actually a deck I built. It's Secret Commander deck, and the Secret Commander is Stuffy Doll / Brash Taunter, because Brash Taunter is strictly better Stuffy Doll. The commander of it is Piru the Viatao. Whole point, get out your Stuffy Doll, Brash Taunter, maybe even an Ill-Tempered Loner or a Boros Reckoner. There's actually a few more that have this sort of text. They say whenever it takes damage, deal that much damage out. Some say any target. But the Brash Taunters, they say opponents.
Yeah, you're just trying to get one of those things out, and then now the rest of your deck is built around that. Once you do step 1, get it in play, the deck's like, oh, I got you, no problem. Step 2, deal a million bajillion damage to all the creatures, wipe the board, because your creatures have indestructible, at least the good ones that you want to play. It's going to be a fun time.
I mean, even if they don't have indestructible, something like a Blaster Sack, Chain Reaction, or Star of Extinction, these 3 cards are 3 board wipes that deal insane amounts of damage. It's 13. The one scales with the game, which means it could be
50.
It could be 50, and Star of Extinction always deals 20. These are already insane amounts of damage to deal to somebody's face afterwards. Obviously, you want lots of tutors. You need to find the Stuffy Doll and the Brash Hunter every game, or your cards stink.
Yeah, and I like Stranic Resonator and Lithoform Engine. They're so bad. They're not even that good in this deck. But when you copy the Stuffy Doll triggers to deal extra damage, you're going to feel like a genius.
The whole point is to, copy those triggers. And you want it, the goal is go like Star of Extinction, deal 20 to it, and then copy that trigger.
Just 40 somebody.
Just 40 somebody to the face. That's what I want to do.
And then you now have a Stuffy Doll that needs to be reset. But we don't think about that, because we also have Blazing Sunsteel in the deck, and that plus Brash Taunter is infinite, right?
Or Stuffy Doll. I mean, Stuffy Doll will only kill one player.
So but that plus Brash Taunter is infinite.
Will kill all the players, yeah. So Brash Taunter will have 2 triggers for dealing damage, 1 to an opponent, 1 to anything. It's indestructible. I'll choose itself, and then we'll have 2 triggers again. We'll do an opponent, and we'll do 8 again. This is infinite. We kill all the players.
The deck even has a combo, people. You're sleeping on the Stuffy Doll deck.
Yes. Also, because Blazing Sunsteel is part of the combo, I put in lots of tutors for artifacts and equipments.
Deck number 2 is a deck I was headed in the direction of when I built my $50 budget deck for a future episode of Shuffle Scuffle, but I couldn't obviously go all the way. But now this is all the way. It's Svella Spam. Your commander is Svella Ice Shaper, and you want to use her ability, either one, as many times as humanly possible. This is different from the regular Svella decks where they're like, all right, play Svella, make a mana rock or 2, and then, hey, now I'm going to try to cast big haymakers. Like, no. I'm going to try to see how many times I can activate the 8 mana ability. I mean, obviously you're going to win eventually. You still have some haymakers, but we're talking Quest for Renewal. We're trying to untap our creatures each turn so then we can make mana lists if we don't have enough mana to ultimate Svella, or just ultimate every single turn and then untap and just demolish people. Curse of Bounty lets you do it twice in a turn. Seeker of Skybreak lets you Svella twice in a turn. Staff of Domination can potentially go infinite and lets you do it as many times as you have mana for.
Yeah, I mean, these are all ways to untap Svella, and something the deck does really well is that because we have ways like Curse of Bounty to untap our whole team, we have lots of mana dorks, and lots of, obviously the Icy Mana lists are already there, but a lot of our non-land permanents produce mana, so now when we get those untaps, not only are we untapping Svella, we're untapping lots of other cards to just tap them all again to generate the mana to do Svella again.
It's basically an extra turn. We got Vitalize, which is a sweet one. There's Benefactor's Draft. Seedborn Muse will let you go every turn for like no investment. And I also have Battle Mage's Bracers and Illusionist Bracers, which lets you copy the ability for Svella. So instead of 8 mana for 1 activation, you can spend 9 or 10 mana for 2 of her 8 mana activations. And then how are you losing that game?
Yeah, I mean, you're just gonna. The whole point is that we're spamming Svella. It's do it as many times as possible, and the best way to do that is just untap our guys over and over again. Again, mana dorks. Mana dorks are so important to this deck because we're gonna Seedborn Muse. It's not that useful if we just untap Svella because it costs 8 mana.
Right.
But when you untap Svella,
all the rocks,
all the lands, all the mana dorks. Now we're activating Svella an extra 2 times because you know what? We also had Staff of Domination.
Wow, good for us. This is gonna get real silly really fast. And one random thing I noticed when I was playing for fun is a Seeker of Skybreak can untap itself. So that can lead to A, infinite combos, but B, it's just funny with Quest for Renewal because it gives you all the charge counters right away. It actually matters, even though you can't produce anything by just doing this with your creature.
It's really weird.
Deck number 3 is a Joe Cherry's Brainchild fueled by BZ Madness. What do we got?
This is First Strike, basically tribal. We're going to have First Strike all over this deck. Our commander is Miri, whether like Duelist, because she has First Strike, obviously.
That was a big one.
That's the big one, and she makes combat really, really nice for First Strikers.
And this is a combat deck. This is not a powerful deck. This is an on-the-board, attack you with dudes deck. And this is specifically a First Strike deck, so we're not playing anything with Double Strike. That does actually kind of not work with what we're trying to do. We want First Strike. We're sticking to the theme, and we're going in, and you'll see why. There's some cool staples, actually, like Knight of the White Orchid, there's Thalia, Heretic Cathar, there's like Lyra and Baneslayer, and Odric, Master Tactician, Jazal if you're trying to go wide. And what's funny is we can guarantee we're going to win combat through First Strike with Archetype of Encourage because it says nothing else can have First Strike.
Yeah, exactly. So if nothing else can have First Strike, we always have First Strike. Well, that's going to work great. Paying off having First Strike on everything, Quande is like the only payoff for really First Strike.
First Strike specifically, yeah. There's like hidden payoffs though.
Yeah, but Quande is perfect and it works well. Also, we're going to give our guys Death Touch. That works so perfect. Bo and Nylea and Orin Frostfang give all our attackers Death Touch. That's going to work out great in our favor. They can't block with non-First Strike or Double Strike creatures, and in some cases, with the Archetype out, they basically can't block at all without their creature just dying.
Yeah, how do you ever stop us? I mean, Basilisk Collar, if we want to suit up one big First Striker, maybe Miri or something, but it's like our creatures are just not dying in combat, so if we bring this to a Combat Matters meta, it's probably going to clean house. Also, something that's pretty funny is I like putting some fogs in this deck. You want like maybe Obscuring Haze, Constant Miss, Reconnaissance, some other things like that, where you just let your First Strike happen to all their creatures, and then you fog, and then their creatures don't deal damage even if they survive. So all your creatures can just suicide in every turn. You have a fog like Constant Mists. You just suicide everything in. Don't worry about it. Let the First Strike go through, kill everything that was going to die, and then fog.
Yeah, exactly. So what makes the fog so effective is that if you attack with 10 creatures, they all have First Strike, and they block like 4 of them that are bad for you. Like those ones are going to die. Okay, First Strike damage. All right, it doesn't kill those creatures, but the other 6,
the players take damage.
They deal the damage to the players, and then you fog. Now we're good. Now our creatures aren't going to die in combat because nothing's dealing damage after that.
Yeah, and now my absolute favorite inclusion that was found for this deck, Gideon Jura. That is if you don't want to attack, you just go, all right, minus Gideon. Now everything has to attack, and all your creatures have First Strikes. You can block whatever, however you want, and it's just going to eat everything for free.
Yeah, if a 6/6 attacks you, and you have 6 power First Strike, guess what? It's not getting through at all. It's just dying, just straight up dying.
None of your creatures die at all. I encourage anyone to find more ways like that to force people to attack you, because you don't want to goad, because it forces them to attack somebody else. You want them to attack you, so they just run into the First Strike and die. Number 4, we got Basic Land Storm with Borborygmos Enraged. This is probably a deck that has like 40 lands in it, and all of them are basic lands. We want mono basics. We're going to end up using Sprouting Vines at some point in the game to storm X's whatever to get a bunch of basic lands into our hand. Then we're going to shoot people with Borborygmos Enraged or some of these other cards that aren't Borborygmos Enraged.
But they're mini Borborygmos Enraged. Like Seismic Assault and Morton Voltex are just mini. They're mini effects of Borborygmos. Not quite as good.
Not quite 8 mana though.
Not quite 8 mana though. Exactly. You can also, instead of turning it into damage, you can turn it into little bears on the battlefield with what is that bear's name?
Try it.
Ayula's Influence, which is Seismic Assault, but instead of dealing damage, it makes a little bears.
I like Lightning Storm because you always just keep like 5 lands left over in your hand. So you just go, all right, copy, do the 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and then just let everybody die.
Lightning Storm is such a weird card.
It's like on the stack, you have to do things to it.
Yeah, it has.
And any player can do it.
The sorcery has an ability on the stack, which is so weird.
And we're going to get Storm Count. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. You could go the cheap route of like a bunch of artifacts or cost reducers. I think I might go the cantrip route where you just play a bunch of 1-mana cantrips, helps you find Sprouting Vines, and then you can play every Lay of the Land effect ever printed, because they're all kind of mini versions of Sprouting Vines. So if you go like Lay of the Land, you know, like Lay of the Land, Traverse the Uvenwalds, Caravan Vigil. I'm really trying here.
Reclaim the Waste.
Reclaim the Waste, Kicked. You know, you have 5 lands now, and they all turn into cards because of your other payoffs.
Yeah, and then you cast Sprouting Vines after that.
And then you get,
Even more.
7 more.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the whole point. The whole point of the deck is all of our lands are basics, and we're casting Sprouting Vines. That's literally all we want to do. All right. Next is the meme deck. We do one of these every episode. This one is Empty-Handed Tribal. The card has to have hands represented in some way on the card. Whatever the card is. It can be an enchantment, an artifact. Doesn't matter. As long as there's hands in the card. And those hands cannot be holding anything in them. They have to be empty hands, which it turns out is not a common thing in Magic. As you look for creatures, you will notice, wow, everybody's holding something. A scroll, a wand, some magic in their hand. There's always something.
Yeah, glowing hands don't count. They are armed with something. They are not empty-handed. If my hands are glowing white, I would not say that I'm empty-handed. I'm going to throw something at it. I don't know. I'm going to like blast you with a supernova or something. So this is the empty-handed. You could almost even call this Hellbent deck.
Yeah.
Because you're empty-handed.
Yeah.
But the commander's probably just like Kenrith or some 5-color nonsense. You kind of have to do Kenrith.
He doesn't have anything in his hands. He's just sitting down.
Right. All these creatures are unassuming. Queen Marchessa's one of my favorite ones. I like Recruiter of the Guard. Her hands are just clenched in fists.
So the same with Kiki-Jiki. Kiki-Jiki's doing this.
Right.
He got 2 fists clenched, so he's not holding nothing.
I mean, there's no guarantee they're not holding like a marble, but that's not canon.
I mean, now I'm worried if Kiki-Jiki has... You think that's what Kiki-Jiki does?
He's got a marble. Marbles? He just has 1 marble.
That's the magic marble.
He's trying to guess which hand the marble's in.
Yeah, and then when you guess, it makes a copy.
Yeah, exactly. What else is there? Safi Eric's-daughter. There's some good cards. Locust God technically has hands. We didn't do any like birds or
he just has hands.
Well, yeah, but we're saying we didn't do any birds or non-humans that literally don't have hands. Like, that doesn't count. Obviously, they're empty-handed.
Yeah, no dragons. Dragons have like claws and talons, but we're not gonna count that. But it has to have hands. Like Animate Dead, it shows something being animated with hands.
Sun Titan
that are holding nothing.
Sun Titan is empty, bony hands. And I like the challenge of try to find spells. Build out your ramp and removal package with empty-handed cards. Like, that should be fun. There's probably some counter spells where someone's like, oh no, my hands are empty. There's gotta be.
I mean, the guy doing this, but he's
got those swivelly lines.
Yeah, because he's getting countered. Yeah,
there's gotta be some.
I'm sure there's
not even literal any counter spell.
I'm sure there's a counter spell with like, oh, I got nothing. That's what they're doing.
Number 6 is less of a meme. It's the all combo deck. And I don't really care who your commander is. This one I think is an Abzan deck, but the whole point of this deck is you're trying to build some like higher power combo deck, but let's throw in a little bit of Nitpicking Nerds spice. Every single non-land card in your deck has to be able to combo with something, or just don't play it.
This might be Kenrith again, because what Kenrith does is he's always a payoff for infinite mana combos. So it just makes him part of the combo. So he's probably a great way to go because you want 5 colors for this. So for starters, sack outlets are almost always going to be able to be part of our combos. But the altars are extra good at this. Like Phyrexian Altar, Altar of Dementia, and
Ashnod's Altar.
Yeah, and Ashnod's Altar. They're all just great, and they're always going to be a huge combo pieces. The key to this is you have to know and be able to show me a combo with the card.
Right.
So like if I take this altar, what is the combo? Well, here's what it does.
Here's Nim Death Mantle, Eldrazi Displacer, which are also in the deck. Now they all go to combo together. And if you're in the Abzan colors, there's just a bajillion cards that all just mesh together, and it's like pick any 5 of them and they all go infinite with each other. We're talking your Boonweaver, your Pattern of Rebirth, your Protean Hulk that turns into Reveler Karmic Guide, and then either of those go infinite with like Safi, and there's Fiend Hunters, and it just gets insane.
Yeah, and on top of that, to make the lands part of your combo, I thought it was really good to put Deadeye Prairigan Drake, because now lands are always part of you. I can point to the combo that the lands are part of now.
Whatever lands you have in play.
Whatever lands you have in play can be part of a combo. So now lands are part of combos.
Right, and we can bring Mana Rocks in. All we have to do is put, Muddle the Mixture, Dice Conceptor, and Dramatic Reversal in, and it's like, well, all these Mana Rocks are needed for this combo. Amber's joined us for deck number 7, which is Creatureless Combat Deck, helmed by Iroas, God of Victory, who is not technically a creature, which satisfies our deck's restriction of 0.0 creatures. But we're playing a creature strategy, and we're going to try to see how many tokens we can make. We're going wide, we're pumping them, we're doing all this stuff, and I think it's going to be sweet.
I mean, we know that there's lots of ways to make token creatures with instant sorceries, enchantments, artifacts. There's lots and lots of ways to do this. The key is that no creatures that make tokens. No. There is 0 creatures in the deck besides Iroas technically helming it because,
it's commander.
It's the commander, but he's not even going to be a creature most of the time.
I like Intangible Virtue and Leyline of the Meek, which pump all of our tokens.
Yeah, we're going to pump up tokens. Like, all of our creatures are literally tokens except Iroas, so we want to pump them up and take advantage of that. Idol of Oblivion lets us draw whenever we make a token. If we made a creature this turn, if it came to the battlefield, it was 99% chance a token.
It just was. It just was a token. So we can fill up some of the holes. I mean, obviously, pick your favorite token makers, but some of the best ones and things I like is Legion's Landing for some ramp, Release the Gremlins for removal. You got Secure the Waste as like probably one of the best token makers ever. And I like for going big. You got Anointed Procession and you got Divine Visitation to make just giant stuff. And Heroic Reinforcements, kind of like this mini overrun that makes more tokens.
Yeah, I think the second best, just because I want to shout this card out more because I think this card's super good, is called the Copper Coats. That card's good.
Ooh, and Cathar's Crusade would be good.
Yeah, also we're just making a million bajillion tokens, but we have no real creatures.
Right, no creatures in the deck. What's your creature count? 1?
Technically
99, 0. Deck number 8, I've seen a couple channels tackle this. It is pure nonsense, and I would want to take a crack at this maybe sometime down the road. It's Sakashima and Tana as the commanders, and it's Planeswalker Mutations, which is have a mutate card, have a Planeswalker that makes itself a creature, mutate on top of the Planeswalker, so now it's a creature that isn't legendary and is a Planeswalker with loyalty abilities. Then you copy it, which now becomes a creature that isn't a Planeswalker, so it won't die because it has 0 loyalty, but it has loyalty abilities, so you can activate the 0s and the +1s of whatever the Planeswalker was, and it just gets completely nonsensical. It's also not legendary, so you don't even need Sakashima, but just in case, it's its commander.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you mutated below it for some reason because you're weird.
That would be terrible. Don't do that.
That's not what the deck is designed to do. So the very first step here is to make our Planeswalkers into creatures. There are 3 Planeswalkers that really do this. Sarkhan the Masterless just turns all of your Planeswalkers into dragons.
It's the best one.
It's going to work the best because you can do it with any Planeswalker as long as you start with Sarkhan. Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker turns himself into a Planeswalker. Well, no, into a creature. He already is a Planeswalker.
4/4 flyer.
And then Oko the Trickster also, not regular Oko. Oko the crappy guy.
Turns into any creature you control.
Which is such a weird ability for a Planeswalker to have.
And I don't want to know what happens when you start making Oko into another Planeswalker that was a creature and then doing other stuff. I don't know. There's also a subcategory of turning Planeswalkers into creatures that I noticed. If we Liquimetal Torque and Liquimetal Coating and among other effects, we turn our Planeswalkers into artifacts. We can use Saheeli, Sublime Artificer, to then make the Planeswalker into a creature, or herself. Tezzeret, Cruel Mechanist, the crappy one, can make an artifact into a 5/5 creature, and Karn pluses to make any of your Planeswalkers into creatures. So now you have free reign to continue going.
It's nonsensical ways to go, but honestly, the deck is nonsensical within itself. And then we just want to copy it, right? So once we get to the stage of we have the Planeswalker creature thing, amalgamation of
gross
nonsense.
Oozing monster.
Yeah, so now we're going to write a replication. We're going to Mythos of Aluna. There's tons of these ways to just copy them. What's Sublime Epiphany's another one. Just copy this Planeswalker, get another one, and something really cool you can do is if you make a bunch of tokens, you get in Brutaclad and get like 30 of whatever this stupid thing is.
Turn your treasures into Sarkhans, obviously.
Sarkhans that are mutated on top of, which is weirder.
It's really weird. And then they're all become like 4/4s with haste. If you're the Dragon Speaker, it just like gets really, really weird. And there's some mutate. I mean, obviously, just any mutate creature works. There's like Lord Dracus. Can you name another one? Migratory Greathorn.
The 6/6
Auspicious Starix.
Starix, yeah.
That's another one.
And there's also Cloud Piercer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of like stupid. I mean, there's a bunch of crappy ones. You just gotta go look. Oh, there's also Dreamtail Heron.
Ooh, yeah.
That's another one. There's a bunch. Just go look through Ikoria Commons.
Sea Dasher Octopus.
Boom. Sea Dasher Octopus. That's the one we want. Up next is a deck that I will dub if it has not been dubbed. Sevens are wild. So it is a wild pair deck. Now, if you don't know what wild pair does, it is weird. It is a 6-mana enchantment that says when a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it didn't enter from this ability or whatever the wording is, something weird like that, you add its power, add its toughness, and then you go into your deck and you get a creature that has the same added power toughness. So the whole deck, every creature in the deck, power and toughness adds up to 7, which is super cool. So the whole goal is to get out Wild Pair. So the first thing you start with is lots of tutors, obviously. Your Enlightened tutors, your Demonic tutors. It doesn't even matter what you have to get this card.
I believe the commander is Saskia, by the way.
But not that important.
But her power toughness is 7.
Her power toughness is 7. That is important within itself. But this is just a Wild Pair deck, like you said. So you just need to get this. You need to tutor for it. And then once you have it,
it's off to the races.
It's off to the races because whenever you play any of your creatures, you automatically tutor out whatever creature in your deck you want to get because your deck is built in such a way to do that.
I like that you don't even have to think about it. Sometimes Wild Pair math is annoying. There is no math. Whenever you play a creature, go find a creature.
Yeah, because it's 7s. Everything adds. I love that the number is 7 too. It's nice.
They're either like 6 1s, 2 5s, 3 4s, 4 3s, 5 2s, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and obviously there's some really strong adds up to 7s. Aurelia the War Leader is incredibly strong. Samut, Voice of Dissent, is going to be great. Archangel of Thune also is going to be another strong card. There's lots of strong abilities, and we can get things like rebuying cards from a graveyard with Golgari Find Broker.
Yeah, you remember Ravnica, Guilds of Ravnica?
You certainly do. My favorite thing in this whole deck, though, is these 2 cards.
Yep.
They're 1-mana things. I mean, I'm going to skip the first one because the second one is so cool. We'll mention that quickly. Green Pelt Rampager. Pay a green, goes into play, and then you pay 2 energy, and it stays in the field. But if you don't have 2 energy, it makes an energy and bounces to your hand. So you can play it, get whatever creature you want for your deck, put it on the battlefield.
Because of Wild Pair.
Bounces to your hand. 1 mana again, Wild Pair, get whatever you want. 1 mana again, well, now it's stuck in the field. But you tutored up the best 3 creatures in your deck, and there are combos. There are definitely combos just with creatures with 7 that you can do, so you can just win like that.
Well, Samut already gives all your guys haste. Aurelia gives you an extra combat, and then you're just pick your favorite beater at that point.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna win the game.
Joe's just completely hating on Vexing Devil, which is the same thing.
I'm not hating on it.
But you only get 1. It's not as cool, but Vexing Devil and Commander doing something is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that it wasn't cool, it's that it was just Vexing Devil. Green Pelt Rampager is a 10 in coolness. It's Vexing Devil's a solid 8, but it's have you seen this 10 in coolness?
This was actually, we talked to one of our editing buddies, EK, and he had this deck just ready to go. We're like, this is exactly what we were looking for. That's so random. This deck is so cool.
Yeah. And last but not least, Karuga Companion. If you don't know, Companion Karuga is incredibly hard. Every single card in your deck, besides lands, must be 3+ mana value. That is a lot. Now, we thought a great idea for this was Emoti, because you're already playing a million cards that cost over 3. Wow. We can get up to, 6.
Let's just make it 6. We're already jumping through this hoop. Let's put in a bunch of 6-drops and see how functional this deck can be. And now for ramp, you have plenty of options, actually. It's not that bad. Search for Tomorrow I like because it suspends. It's actually a play on turn 1. Plenty of cyclers you can include in the deck. Beanstalk Giant is both a giant 7-drop and an early ramp play, which I like.
Yeah, I mean, this is all about kind of cheating in a lot of ways to make sure that you have the things like Dig Through Time, Treasure Cruise. These things are really good in this deck because they cheat essentially. Those are 1 and 2 mana spells most of the time, but we get to play them in the deck, which we can't do with an actual 1 or 2 mana spell.
Yeah, there's also cards that never cost 6, but they say they cost 6, like Aether Snipe. You just cast for the evoke cost. Avatar of Growth literally just costs less if you have opponents, so you're never casting it for 6, but you still get the triggers off of it. So Emoti's all right, let's go find something, and the thing you're finding, since we're in a Karuga deck, is never crap because you don't have any 1 and 2 drops in your deck. You're always getting a spell that's worth at least 3 mana, which is sick.
I also like Endurance a lot in this deck because it's a 0 mana way to interact, and if someone's trying to combo off early and your deck.
What table are we at?
Okay, let's just say this: you're gonna spend your first 2 turns doing almost nothing, very little. And then turn 3, you want to play some ramp, and then 4 or 5, you're getting going. I'm talking turn 6, 7 combos. Oh. You're still setting up, okay? and like somebody might be going for a reanimate. It's like I like having zero interaction. We're spending all of our mana.
Yeah,
believe it.
we are. I love all the delve. I thought Ezreroot Channeler was kind of goofy because it makes your creatures cost 2 less by itself. So now you're like, all right, I'll spend 4 mana on something, or if you're delving, even less, and then I still get the Cascade triggers. It's super sweet. Especially, I'm thinking like, I want to cast like an 8-drop and cascade into a 7 and a 6. And this deck definitely has Apex Devastator in it, right?
Well,
how do you not?
How could you not? Apex Devastator is just awesome.
Yeah.
Period. But that is the video. That is all 10 of the decks we have for you today. Special shout outs to all of our patrons. Love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. Thank you guys all for the direct support. You guys help us do this full time, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, if you want to support us through any of our 2 marvelous links in the description, one's for TCG Player. You buy the cards you were going to buy anyway, except using the link supports the channel. And if you want to buy Dragon Shields, of which custom sleeves is the only way to buy is through the link in the description, then that's another way to support the channel.
And if you're looking for a way to build some of these awesome decks that we just suggested to you, well, you can use Maraschiello.com. It's literally just the best deck building site that we know about. Go there, follow us using this link here because we want to be the most followed account on the whole website.
We're basically there already. We're number 2. As soon as we ask people, it's like, oh, turns out it didn't take that much. So let's get all the way up to number 1 just to say we did it. How about a tidbit about our lives? Anything new going on?
Nothing too crazy going on in our lives, but we are putting together some CDH lists to do for an episode of Shuffle Scuffle. That's about as exciting as it gets.
I've had one together forever, and
not optimized though.
It actually it's got like on Tapped Out because that's when I built the deck like 7 years ago. It's got like almost 100,000 views on that site, which is so funny to me.
That is super weird because you built it so long ago and you made it but it's not even close to optimized at all anymore. Like it is like you've been working on it for the past 2 or 3 days now. It's like
I'm trying to bring it up to I'm bringing it up to 2022 standards. You know, it was sitting at like 2017 standards.
Yeah, exactly. Literally 5 years ago, CEDH is where you were at.
Right.
That's a whole different monster.
Yeah. Now we're up to date and we're gonna rumble.
Yes.
Because everyone has been asking to see that. Everyone's asked for deck tech. We've got like dozens of asks for it. It's like a saga of like the probably one of the number one things we have not done that's been requested is my Karador deck tech or gameplay or something.
Run through of all of our personal decks might be the most requested thing we haven't.
I can't wait to do it.
We're going to do it.
We have all the equipment to do it now. We just have to actually do it.
We just haven't done it yet. But that is the video. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.